friends, welcome. For those who are new here, I am Katrina with Homegrown Florida, and I really debated on whether to prep the beds this weekend or get my fall seeds started. But I thought to myself, what is most important? And honestly, prepping the beds is most important. It's not so much getting all the stuff out, it's getting the compost and the amendments down so that it has a chance to break down, getting the cover crop a chance to break down. All of those things take a little bit of time, like 2 or 3 weeks. So I think it's important to get this done today, and we'll do seeds next weekend. So this bed right here, I think we're gonna leave be because the peanuts are starting to die out. You can see they're starting to turn yellow, but they're nowhere close to being done. So we're gonna leave those in there, let them finish up, hopefully get a really good crop. The peppers are looking a little bit rough, but they should pull through that and continue to produce. There's even still some peppers. You can see them right there. And then I've got some little ones right here. So we're gonna leave this bed alone, but we're gonna take out this whole bed right here, which is basically all sun hemp. There is some sweet potatoes growing in there. I'm probably gonna pull those. I don't expect much from those. I also have some cover crop right here that we're gonna take care of. This is all my dead watermelon that needs to be pulled up. I don't know about this bed. I would love to get this one taken care of, but I think it might be for another day. And then that one, which is really huge. These beds stress me out because there's so much going on here and I kind of need to be careful. Like I've got drip irrigation in there that I got to work around. I have some sweet potatoes that I'm not quite ready to pull out. I've got sun hemp, I've got marigolds that I'm trying to save the seed from. I've got some Puerto Rican black beans I'm still trying to harvest, but I want to get the sunflowers out. I don't know. We might just do the easy beds today. Let's see. I don't know. We're also going up against, like, there's like rain that's coming in. The clouds are starting to darken up. So we're gonna see how much we can get done today. Maybe we'll do some more tomorrow. And then throughout the week, hopefully we can get it all done. All right. First up, let's make sure Gregory and Goober, my little garden snakes, are not anywhere. Here's where I suspect the worst. Hopefully they're not in there. And try to dig up these irrigation lines too. All right. Random sun hemp. And this might be easier than I thought. Famous last words. Let me not say that out loud. I did say that out loud. Where did this plant start? There we go. A lot of weeds in this one. Wow. Okay. Gotta get all these out. Oh, I hate these. They're like the worst. Man, there's so many. You might have noticed that some of them I pulled up by the root And I've always had a lot of questions about this, whether you pull something up by the roots or not. You probably saw me pulling those tall stalks was actually some sun hemp that I had broadcasted to see if that would work. It did not. It was really, really patchy. It's better to kind of bury it a little bit. But I pulled those up by the root. Typically I don't do that. I'm gonna show you in just a second. We're gonna go do that sun hemp, and I'm gonna show you how I chop it down and lay it down in the bed. But that was so patchy, I'm like, that's not gonna do anything. So I just kind of pulled it up by the root, and I'm gonna throw it back in the bed. The watermelon vines over there, I'm gonna throw those in the compost, and then I have some random weeds that I was pulling out of the beds. That's gonna go in the trash or a burn pile. I don't wanna put that in my compost. It might compost down, but it might also spread weeds. Now, when I'm pulling stuff up by the root, I do it for two reasons. If it's a weed or if it has disease. The watermelon looks like it might have had a little bit of disease. I'm not 100% sure if it just finished its life cycle or if it got like a really extreme powdery mildew. So I'm gonna chance it. I'm gonna throw it in my compost. Yeah, I don't always make the best decisions when it comes to that, so don't necessarily do that. It might be better just to trash that as well. I'm gonna compost it. There is a third reason why I might pull something up by the roots, even if it is not a weed and it doesn't have disease, and that's gonna be sunflower. I did a little experiment at the beginning of summer to see if this bed right here, this has my beans, but it also has sunflowers down in there. Let me show you. So all of those are sunflowers, but this bed was my garlic bed during fall, and it became just crazy inundated with weeds. And so I decided to grow sunflowers to see if the sunflowers would help stop the weed problem. The way that that works is sunflowers, actually their roots have this chemical in them that like keep other seeds from germinating nearby. Not all seeds and not big plants, but like new seeds. And I thought, well, I wonder if I put sunflowers down, if they'll kill off that weeds. It appears like it might have worked because I don't see very many weeds, guys. So that's pretty awesome. But I will pull those up by the root because it might be pushing off that chemical still. And I don't want that to be in the soil when I go to plant my next plants. So a hedge trimmer works amazing for chop and drop. That normally would have taken me an hour or maybe even two to do 1 to 2 beds, you know, so an hour a bed with just clippers or like the manual hedge trimmers. But the electronic hedge trimmers, or is it electronic? Electric? Electric. It's hot. My brain's not working when it gets this hot. But the electric hedge trimmers, they allow me to kind of cut it in sections, because if you cut it down at the bottom, that's fine. I mean, it'll lay down, but I feel like it breaks down faster when you cut it in like 1 foot sections. So I start at the top and I chunk it out with the hedge trimmers, and then I just try to get to as close to the base as I can. More than likely, these are not going to grow back, but I didn't want to get so close to the ground that I hit my irrigation lines. I cut them down as far as I can where I feel comfortable that I'm not going to hit the irrigation lines. This probably will not grow back, but one way to make sure it doesn't is just to kind of crimp it, or like I just sometimes just step in the bed and fold them over. But honestly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let, there's so many of these, I'm going to let them just sit. And in a day or two, all of this is going to really break down super fast, and you'll be able to see the stalks a little bit easier. And then I can kind of step on them or crunch them down, or just see if they grow back. If they don't grow back, they'll fall down on their own. Okay, we're going to take a couple minutes to cool off. I'm sweating profusely. Let's talk cover crops though, because I'm sure the next question is going to be, how do you plant in that? Because that is a mound of mess. So you can do it two ways. The way that I prefer is I chop them down a couple weeks before I'm going to plant in them. So I try to be proactive and chop it down at least 2 to 4 weeks. 4 weeks would be better. But just in a few days, all of that sun hemp is going to start breaking down. And it's going to start drying out, and it's going to really become really brittle very, very quickly. So it doesn't really take that much time to be able to find spots and make it, and it becomes like mulch. Now, if you want to plant it in immediately, you can do that. The easiest way I have found is to find a clump of sun hemp that you've cut down, and you have those little sticks sticking up. Grab a clump of them, pull them out by the root, stick your plant in the exact hole where you just pulled those roots out. Throw the roots back in the bed, just toss them in the bed. But that little hole that you created by pulling those sun hemp out is a great spot to put a little plant, because it's going to create an opening from where you pulled the roots out, but it's also like there's a lot of nutrients right there from the sun hemp. It's not the best way, because it's better to leave the roots of the plants in the ground. But if you're just pulling out, like say you're going to put tomatoes and you're putting 10 tomato plants, you're only pulling out 10 clumps. The rest of the little clumps that are there, you could just leave, and even as they're sticking up out of the ground. I know it looks messy, and I know there's like, a lot of like Instagram and TikTok creators that want their garden to look perfect. But guys, a messy garden is actually not a bad thing. I keep mine very, very messy. And I feel like it helps it, because having all of that organic mulch just kind of deteriorating and feeding the soil right there is like super helpful. Now, once it deteriorates enough that I can actually start to see the soil underneath the mulch, then I'm going to add some additional mulch to it. But it's going to be a while. I mean, it might be good enough for an entire season, for the fall season. I might not have to add more regular mulch, like wood chip mulch, until winter. So the next step that we're going to do after we have gotten all the plants out and got the cover crop chopped down is we need to take a soil sample. Okay, I have my 2 bags of soil. I am going to use a different testing company. I used to use the Epic gardening soil test, but they don't really offer it anymore. I don't know what happened. I reached out to them to find out, but still nothing. I can definitely see a difference between these two soils. This one's like sandy, and this one's like darker. So this one is from the bed with the cover crop, and this is from the watermelon without the cover crop. So I'm very curious. Also, these were created at 2 separate times. This was my first set of beds, my first 4 beds. I put them in, they're the oldest. And then this is kind of my newest set of beds. 7, 8, and 9 are my newest beds. And by newest, I mean like 2 years old. So I want to see like how that is different between these 2 beds. That's why I'm doing 2. But you could technically just do 1. Yeah, you could take, I have done it before where I take samples from the bed and just combine it together in a bucket and then test all of that. I feel like it's going to be more accurate if I test one specific bed from the different time periods. So the 7, 8, and 9 bed and the 1, 2, 3, 4 bed were all created exactly the same, and I really fertilize them the same and everything. So I really don't expect there to be any big differences there. So I'm thinking you could technically test every single one of your beds. I'm not going to do that. That's overkill. But I am going to test these two, and I'm going to try through the extension off. And I've never done it before through them, so I'm very curious. I think I have to go down there though. But my extension office, like the office has been closed for a while, but it's supposed to be reopened now. Anyway, I got to reach out to them. I'm not really super thrilled with having to go somewhere and drop it off because I am a homebody to the extreme. I always tell people that, but I'm willing to give it a shot. It's less expensive, and I can't wait to see the results. And when I do get the results, I will share that with you. But for now, we got our samples. Now we have to amend the beds. It's done. It looks done. Let's see. Some stuff that's not. Get that out of the way. That's pretty good. Let's see if I can pull this. That's a lot more compost than I thought. That's a lot more compost than I thought. That produces a lot. Wow, that is definitely awesome. I'm gonna have way more compost than I ever needed in this garden, but that's cool because that's not even half of that first bin, and the second bin is completely full and the third one is like halfway full. So I have a lot of compost for the garden. That's awesome. If you've learned something so far, make sure to subscribe to the channel and give this video a big thumbs up. It really helps with spreading my channel a little bit further. It would be an awesome way for you guys to support me. Really appreciate it. So we've got all this compost, and I was thinking I was gonna have to ration it because I've always had to ration my compost, but there is so much still in there. There's at least this much still in there. So I can probably do these 3 beds with everything that's in there. And then the next bin can take care of the rest of it when I'm ready. Like I almost don't need to add compost to the parts that had cover crops in it, the sun hemp, because it does add stuff already. But yeah, I think I have plenty. I think I have enough to do all my beds, which is wild. That's never been the case. All right, let's get this over. I'll show you how to do it. Basically take a shovelful and just kind of spread it. It's compost. It doesn't need to be perfect. It's not like fertilizer where you can only put so much on there. You can really kind of, I mean, I've done up to 6 inches on garlic one time and that was amazing. But 2 inches is plenty. And that's enough for your plants. I am so amazed by how much compost this produces. Now you could till it in, meaning get a hand tiller or an electric tiller and actually turn it into the dirt. And that I think is like one of the better ways to do it. But a lot of the time my compost isn't completely finished and I don't want to wait for it. I'm not going to wait 9 months for finished compost. 3 or 4, perfectly fine. A lot of people don't realize that you can actually use semi-finished compost as a mulch. You don't till it in, you just lay it on top and it will finish the decomposing process on top, not hurt the plants, not give them too much feed, and just slowly over time fertilize the plants, which is what I usually do. I think everybody on the internet needs to see me struggling and sweating like a pig. That looks great. I didn't mention this before, but if you don't have access to your own compost in a tumbler or in a bin or a pile or whatever, you can go to the store and get bagged compost. Black Cow is the most popular, but there is a cheaper generic Black Cow. I think they sell it at Home Depot. That works too. Mushroom compost, whatever kind of compost you want to use. The next thing, typically, you would do amendments after you get your soil test back. Now, I will, once I get the soil testing back, I will adjust whatever amendments it tells me to, but I know 100%, well, let's call it 99.9% of the time they're going to tell you to apply nitrogen. And my primary source of nitrogen is blood meal. It's 12-0-0, so 12 parts nitrogen, no phosphorus, no potassium. When I tested my soil last year, it said I had too much potassium, too much phosphorus, to the point that it was like excessive, like could cause problems with my plants. So for the entire year this year, I have not added any fertilizer to my plants with the exception of blood meal. It's the only thing I've added. Now, you've probably seen in videos, I've done a little bit just for educational purposes. That was not what I did for my garden. That was just to show people how to apply fertilizer. But I've only used blood meal for an entire year. I haven't used anything else. So I know it's going to tell me to do this. We just got past our rainy season. All the nitrogen is probably no longer in the soil. And it's so obvious to me when I look at my pepper plants and they're turning yellow and everything's kind of getting a little yellow tint to me, that I know that there's not enough nitrogen. It is so common. You need to add nitrogen back to your soil when you live here in Florida, whether that's compost, whether that's blood meal, whether that's fertilizers, however you want to do it. Adding it back is going to be beneficial because after our rainy season, it just washes all out. All right, so application. If you've ever watched my channel, you know my little raised cup. I love this cup. I've measured this cup. I've measured bone meal, blood meal in this cup. And basically one full big cup of this is 1 pound. Now this down-to-earth blood meal has great instructions. It's unlike other instructions. It actually has how many cups. Usually it says pounds, right? So it says 3 cups of this blood meal equals 1 pound. Now I know 3 cups and 1 pound is this whole cup right here. So I know that this equals 1 pound. And it says to use 2 to 3 pounds per 100 square feet. Now let me, if you're not familiar with square feet and how that calculates, my beds are 8 feet long by 4 feet wide. So all you have to do to get the square footage is multiply those numbers together. So 8 times 4 equals 32. So each bed is 32 square feet. To get 100 square feet, that's basically 36, that's 3 beds, right? So that's 96, just under 100 square feet is 3 beds. And it says to put 2 to 3 pounds across those 3 beds. So basically that calculates down to 2 cups per bed. I'm going to use my big cup. I already know that I can do 1 scoop, 2 scoop, and then spread it across 3 beds. It doesn't have to be perfect, guys. This stuff is really hard to burn your plants if you overdo it. You know what I mean? Like, it's natural. It takes time to break down. I mean, if you put like 10 pounds in it, yeah, you're probably going to burn your plants. But if you're just getting within the range, you're probably okay. So let's do that. I'm going to take 2 big fillings of this. Make sure there's no bugs in there, because that happens to me way too often. Nope, I don't see anything. I wanted to do more beds, but man, I am very, very hot. I feel like if I keep going, I'm going to overwork myself, which I don't want to do. I'm not trying to hurt myself. And also, it's about to rain. I can feel the tiny bit of humidity in the air starting to come in. The clouds are looking a little bit dark. It's actually the perfect time to put this down. I won't have to water. I can just let the rain come in and water it in. And then, you know, I can cool off and I can do another round or another set of beds tomorrow. I'll probably tackle the 2 wild beds tomorrow. But let's go put this down. Let me show you how to do that. I went ahead and did the cover crop bed, but I did it very lightly. So it was probably only about a cup in there and a cup in the peppers, because they were looking a little bit yellow. So I wanted to get that done because the next step, if you didn't have rain coming, would be to try to rake it in a little bit and then water it so that way it doesn't blow off. You don't want all that expensive blood meal, it's not cheap, to just blow off with the wind. But I have a lot of rain coming, so it's going to do it for me. I'm not worried about it over the next couple of minutes. I could rake it in. I'm being really lazy right now because I'm really, really hot. Wow, that was perfect timing. The rain has started, which is like literally I brought the camera in here. I put the blood meal back in the shed, and then I walked over here to close my patio doors, and it started raining. So that couldn't be more perfect. Like awesome. Not too much wind. It's gonna saturate it. It's gonna push that blood meal down into the soil. The next steps I have is I'll wait to get my soil test back, and once I get that back, I'll see if I should add anything else, like, you know, any micronutrients or some phosphorus, potassium. I don't think so. I'm pretty sure they're just going to tell me blood meal, but we'll see. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 beds done today. I have 9 total, so I have 5 more to go. 2 of which aren't even close to being ready, so I really only have 3 to do tomorrow. I'm just going to take my time because those are going to be pretty rough beds to do. They're very overgrown. They're not as simple as like the ones we did today where we just pulled out whole plants. There's like multiple plants in there. That is a worry for another day, that day being tomorrow. But if you want to know more about what to plant this fall and you live in Florida, make sure to pick up my Homegrown Florida Gardening Guide. It is my ebook. It's on my website, homegrownfloridagarden.com. It has 30 chapters. It is a vegetable for each chapter, and it tells you exactly how to grow them here, even in fall, the timing in fall, my favorite varieties, everything about pest, disease management, fertilization, everything is in this book. Make sure to pick up your copy. I'm really excited about this fall season. I have some really cool plants that I'm growing. I showed that to you in my last video. If you didn't see that, it's all about fall planting. So make sure to check out that video. It has both the digital way of planting as well as the manual way, and my seed haul is at the end of all the varieties that I'm growing this fall. Super exciting. I'm really excited about the dwarf varieties of tomatoes. They're actually really big already. I'm pretty shocked. They're gonna have to go on the ground soon, which is shocking. They shouldn't go on the ground for another 2 to 3 weeks, but they might go in a little bit early. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today, and we got all that done. I am so hot. I'm ready to go inside, cool off, take a nice cold shower, and tackle the rest of these beds tomorrow. Make sure to head down in the comments and let me know what you are doing to prepare your beds for your fall harvest, especially if you have some suggestions for me and the rest of the viewers of what you recommend that you do that works out really, really great to prep your beds for fall. Happy gardening, guys.